This time drinking spicy V8 in dinky little cans, so I have a spare on hand. What will be the primary task? For this episode?
Здравствуйте, молодой человек.
Thanks for coming in there and pushing him just the right distance forward. Those tracking device missions can sometimes be a pain. Oh. I'll go ahead and do that. Spicy V8 and regular V8 kind of tastes like soup broth. $14.21. I'm thinking duty might be the first faction I start trying to earn my way up with goodwill score. Already have the failsafe hard save for this episode. I think that's one of the reasons why I was feeling irritable early on in episode 2. Living with the knowledge that I have to constantly compensate for stuff that doesn't work right. Like my gameplay recording software, which is Fraps. I still use Fraps. I've always used Fraps since June of 2008. And only in recent years has it started doing this to me. This thing it does where it randomly, unpredictably fails to record audio for no discernible reason. If there was a discernible reason, I could figure some way around it, probably. Two things I really want to acquire: an M203 and a Camelback. I really don't like having to rely on pissant pistols. Not all pistols are pissant pistols. But one as busted as this Fort 17 certainly is. See how far in here I can get before getting severely affected. I bet I didn't even need to come in here. He can climb up there, but I can't. Also, I had a mission to turn in to Colonel Petrenko. And I've decided that... I've decided that my endgame exosuit armor of choice will be the Duty Forest Battlesuit. If not that, it would be the Mercenary Woodland exosuit. The Merc Woodland exosuit has the edge when it comes to stats. The stats are slightly better overall. But the Duty Forest Battlesuit, its full name is PSZ-10I Forest Battlesuit, is 2 kilograms lighter, assuming that they're both fully upgraded with roughly comparable upgrade paths. See if I can get in and out. Oh. I guess I should have kept some of those 027R pills. Can I even get out this way? Or have I screwed myself over? Well, he can just do that. I certainly can't do that. Oh, you're gonna do this to me again, aren't you? You're gonna make a simple task into a chore, a miserable chore, where I'm fighting against the limitations of the game's programming. Whereas a normal person in this same situation could very easily deal with it to such a degree it wouldn't even be a situation. Oh. All right, fine. Starting to feel irritable again. Not angry, not irate, just irritable. I could try this. That would violate the semi-oath I took to maintain a straight-edge lifestyle. But you know what? So what? There's Hatchet. He was in Call of Pripyat. Alright. Here we go. Quick save right here. Another can of spicy V8. What a surprise it didn't work. Or if it did, it wasn't worth Jack Monkey squat. Screw it, not worth the effort. And not at this point, that is. More so, not worth the time. If I find some more 027R pills, I might try that again. Before too long, I will have enough psionic protection to take care of that. This will be my preferred route, or route in its original French. I don't like homophones or homographs, so I will pronounce it route. That's the problem with loan words that come from other languages. You end up with homophones and or homographs, which lend themselves to confusion. What really pisses me off is when people say verse in place of versus. It's versus. 2 syllables with a hard S at the end. Verse and versus are 2 different words with completely different meanings. They're not interchangeable. And this is a recent phenomenon. Tapeworm, that's a wonderful name for anything other than a tapeworm. Could you imagine if there was some zoner in the zone whose nickname or call sign in the zone was tapeworm? What would one have had done in order to have had earned the nickname tapeworm? I've got some cash on hand. I've already recovered the amount that I spent on a fresh new crank, which is still in good condition. That's right, radiation in there. I should go this way. If that thing kills you to death, I'm definitely taking your gear. I don't like having to avoid danger, especially when it comes in the form of dangerous mutants. Remember the Metaluna mutant from This Island Earth? Why did people pronounce the word mutant that way back then? They actually, it's not just in This Island Earth. You'll notice that in other movies, people will actually pronounce the word mutant as mutant. Mute-ant. Let's see if I manage to trip and fall into an anomaly. In the words of Han Solo, this'll do nicely. Actually, that's probably more of a paraphrase. he might have said, "That'll do nicely." My friends and I have been doing a Star Wars marathon starting before May the 4th and going after May the 4th. One movie a night. Starting with The Phantom Menace, A New Hope on May the 4th. We're going to skip the Star Wars holiday special, which each and every one of us has suffered through. Exactly one time. Well, that one didn't take too long. That's a switch. I'm wondering if I should buy a bunch of 545 FMJ or something else. Or maybe a mix of, maybe a mag's worth of 545 FMJ and whatever. Minor incursion. Since I'm not using shotguns due to my pretending to be a recon scout, my anti-mutant weapons of choice will be the AK-104 and the UMP-45. Either or. I personally would grant favoritism toward the AK-104, if favoritism is the right word. Preference. Yeah, I think I like that word better. I would prefer the AK-104 over the UMP-45. RF radio. I'm probably not going to do any of those missions because of the way I have my controls set. Because of my wacky control scheme, it just makes it, I wouldn't say impossible, but unnecessarily frustrating to do those RF receiver missions. Because I use my right mouse button, or rather my right trackball button, to move forward. And I don't use WASD controls, I use ASDF controls. I prefer to leave my left hand in its natural position on the keyboard, oriented based on the F key, which is where my index finger rests. And I use the F key to aim. Left mouse button to fire. So I'm using both hands for movement and both hands for action. I did manage to do one of those RF receiver missions once. I just don't feel like dealing with the hassle. Don't tell Duty I smoked a joint. Well, they wouldn't know since I died to death after doing so anyway, because it didn't do a good enough job at blocking the psionic emissions.
Oh, stop.
Not bad, not bad. You're one of my favorite employers. Especially when I am, well, of course, if you are a dutier, you're going to be doing a lot of tasks for the Colonel. Well, I have an LR300, but still no M203, so I'm going to avoid the temptation to buy, let's call it an HEDP, since that's what they're called in Stalker 2, High Explosive Dual Purpose. 48,228. Not bad, not bad. I will go ahead and buy 2 mags worth of ammo. And I'm sticking with that policy where I can only buy exact duplicates of weapons I've already found. And found means actually picked up, not just looked at. Which means if I wanted to, I could buy a Fort 17, which is cheap anyway. I'll buy ammo. That should do. Do I have... I have medical supplies. Could probably buy some bandages. Should probably buy some bandages, I should say. Doesn't surprise me that the duty medic isn't interested in a joint. Actually, I don't think medics usually buy joints. I totally could just use the phrase, that's medicinal. Just like Baron Flint in Borderlands 1. I try not to use caffeine. Yeah, I'll go ahead and sell that. I try not to use Hercules. I don't have to explain what could potentially happen if you OD on that stuff over a long enough timeline. 10 bandit patches. I'm going to try to forget about the time I screwed myself out of one of them way back in episode 1. I think I had some things to do in garbage. Not long after I spoke about these things, and the missions related to them, I come across one. And it's the guy with the gas mask with no hood up, which you don't commonly see. Muntian. That name sounds like mountain, which makes me think of Montag, or Montagnard. Montag is the French word for mountain, right? Montagnard would be mountain dweller. Yes, I am genuinely interested in the etymology of words. Etymology, not entomology, though I am interested in that too. What really irritates me is when I get into conversations in pure text with people across the interwebs, like in YouTube comments or wherever else, and they accuse me of being pretentious. Pretentious isn't the word you're looking for. What I am is pedantic. Entirely different concept. If I had an elitist attitude, then I might be more accurately described as pretentious, but I'm not an elitist. I'm also not entirely a standard nerd, as some would say. I'm more of a nerd bro. Tolian Tucker. Jakaleshi. Different bandit, but also in garbage. Let's do some damage in garbage. Doesn't matter who, I've got the ammo to deal with it now.
Как жизнь? У солдата вечность впереди. Ты ее со старостью не путай.
I could do this. I think I will.
Хреново тут.
Don't yet have any big tasks to do in Aggro Prom. Of course, it would be a heavy one.
Завалиться бы
Doesn't
сейчас подрыхнуть.
doesn't really matter too much currently.
Здорово, тебе чего?
Времени мало.
Think I can handle that.
Время дорого. Рассказывай. Ладно, так поговорим. По-мужски.
South of the road.
Чего расскажешь хорошего?
Brick. That makes me think of Brick from Borderlands. Especially Borderlands 1. What colors? Clear sky.
Подходи, сталкер. Для таких, как ты, у меня всегда...
South of the road. Oh. I didn't feel like doing yet another doggedy dig dog elimination task. Why is my health going down? That wouldn't be due to thirst, would it? That wouldn't cause that much? Gonna make me waste a med kit on nothing. Does this do anything for thirst? I don't think it does. Oh, I guess it does. Well, why wouldn't it? Well, don't make me explain that. Beer doesn't quench thirst. I know. Alcohol doesn't quench thirst, but Pilsner's, I'm not entirely sure that it's a Pilsner, but it comes in a green bottle. It's from Eastern Europe. If it's not a Pilsner, it's some kind of lager. And most of them don't have a high alcohol content. So, that kind of beer would quench thirst, and along with it, a little bit of hunger, due to the amount of calories. Well, what is it that's draining my health? I've noticed this before. This pisses me off. I don't want to waste a med kit on health that I've lost for no reason. But screw it. Maybe I'll go out and get in a fight. Maybe get a little bit wounded. So then I can justify using a med kit. But then I'll also have to use a bandage. And I only have 4 of those, and I didn't feel like buying any more. A lot of my problems are because I just don't feel like doing certain things. Because this mod forces upon the player so many things that just aren't necessary in most other zone experiences. Notice how I didn't save over my fail-safe hard save, which I made at the end of episode 2. That can't be thirst that drains your health like that. It was in the yellow. Even if it was in the red, it would take, 3 days? I know that time in the zone is accelerated. My past 2 episodes have taken place over the course of roughly a day each, and the recordings themselves were both close to the same length, just over 2 hours and 50 minutes. just under 3 hours, both of them. That's prior to editing. At the time I'm recording this, the third episode, I haven't yet edited episode 2, nor have I uploaded it. Edit first. I could upload it as is, but then it would feel inconsistent with how I did episode 1. Speeding up those parts, that shaved off 40 minutes from the runtime. 40 minutes of those extra boring parts. The more I get geared up, the fewer of those extra boring parts there will be. And what ones there are will most likely last not as long. Most likely not last as long. Grammatically speaking, I can phrase that either way, and it still makes sense and is grammatically correct. But phrasing it the one way sounds more awkward than the other. Did I mention I'm professionally trained in graphic design? And an important aspect of that is typography. I minored in business management. All right. Gonna bring up my itinerary. Currently tracking the most recent mission I picked up. Mission quest thing. I hope he doesn't end up going there. That happens so often. And it's so irritating. Low stamina is also irritating. And I don't like having to constantly swill energy drinks or pop caffeine pills. Popping pills. Pills here! Good way to shorten your lifespan. That's the effect it would have IRL, not so much in video games. I used to drink energy drinks. Sometimes I still do, but only on occasion. Very, very moderacy. Vadya snot! Truly optimistic to think a Krink could make this shot. Or rather, I should say, to think that a 5.45 round fired out of a barrel of this length. Maybe I should have just gone for it. I hate having to do things the cowardly pissant way. I really do. Did I mention I really hate the hobo phase? I still consider myself to be stuck in the hobo phase. Yeah, having a good mid-tier armor in good condition and a halfway decent primary capable of full auto fire chambered for an intermediate rifle caliber in good condition. Those two conditions being met are still not enough to consider yourself to be truly out of the hobo phase. You also need to have a good supply of medicine, water, and food. I see galloping pig lumps over there. But I don't have time to play with the pigs. They look like the kind that have pig faces. Galloping pig lump. And in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, they've evolved into Leaping potato pigs. Now let's see if I can do this right. I'm going to stash this heavy thing here only because it's heavy. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to bring all those monster parts here. Something I tried to remind myself in my brain to do, and I forgot. Doesn't make a huge difference because I wouldn't have what he's asking for anyway. Finally, we have, well, at least one security guard. Maybe I should call you Barney. I hope I don't regret doing this. I have noticed on past characters that my health would drain down to a certain point for no apparent reason. Is it just breathing the air of the zone that slowly kills you or poisons you? If that's the case, then why bother wearing a respirator? And this respirator's condition is in the green. So if that's the case, it still feels like I'm getting needlessly screwed over by rules that just don't make any sense. Oh, you're one to talk, Judd. Look at all the pointless and ridiculous rules you're masochistically imposing upon yourself for the purposes of this run. Yeah, but that's not for the sake of masochism, it's for the sake of style. I hear another one. Back up, back up, back up. Oh, this takes so long. Well, that was useless. The technique that usually works for me isn't going to work for me. Pointless. I hope I wasn't getting shot at, but it was neutrals over there shooting at these zombies-miacs. And I've acquired a tool. Everything is such a chore early on. Once I have an axe, things might be different. And a tourist backpack. I'm not going to bother going for any of the intermediate backpacks. I want to go right for the top of the line best one. Oh, look at that. Talking about exactly one of the tasks I'm about to do. Z-Man. Bounty on his head, and I'm about to collect I've heard horror stories, so to speak, about how it takes 10 hours in gamma before the average player has just one weapon in good condition. Let's see how this goes. Oh, they're already moving. Well, that was a good shot. A ridiculously good shot. Perfect timing. One mag gone. Well, that didn't go so terrible. Terribly, I should say. Do I hear pig noises pigging around in the sky? I think that only cost me... Well, it did cost me some number of rounds, but with the money I currently have, I can recoup those losses. Keeping that for myself for later. I'll go ahead and fix up this Swiss Army knife. I might consider fixing up one of these, since it doesn't weigh much more than this and is better. This is the first playthrough I've ever done not using shotguns. Well, this is the first playthrough of Anomaly I've ever done where I've imposed upon myself any of these sorts of Borderlands Allegiance Run style restrictions. Gonna do the loot goblin thing and then reacquire that package that I stashed only because of its weight. Alright. Looks like the person I need to deliver it to is close. Not just in Agroprom, but close to the junction. Galloping pig lumps. Why does it say 6 and then when I load that it's 1? Just forget it. Don't even bother trying to explain it. I won't even waste any brain cells trying to ponder it. Might as well not bother using it. I'm not going to pay close attention to how long these episodes go for. They will be variable. .556 barrel. Yes, I will go ahead and use that. Good old hops number 9. An explodey go nuts and some smokes. This is the best type of planted explodey go nuts. I might consider keeping it.
Ну, привет.
What did that say? I didn't even get a chance to see what he rewarded me with. I didn't press anything to make that happen. That just happened.
Слушай, все вопросы к главному.
Stern.
Если нужно что, спрашивай у главного.
Spartan helmet. Artyom's helmet. I could imagine these guys and myself fighting off a horde of Nocelises. Or lurkers, for that matter, in this tunnel. This makes for a pretty good base camp. Easily defensible. Easily being a relative term. Here I'm an ecologist and I haven't even hunted for artifacts yet. I don't even have the most basic type of detector yet. That's not really that big a deal, though. Truth be told, I don't really enjoy hunting artifacts. I only do it for the money. What I'm more interested in is safari hunting. Eventually, I'll earn the Infopreneur achievement. There are some achievements that I'm interested in earning. This won't be a completionist run. But there are some achievements that I do want. Oh, what kind of gear do each of you have? You've got a crank like mine. Looks like it even has the same kind of brown polyamide magazine. And you have what looks like a Saiga 12. That's a suit the player can't get. You can get the blue Isrit suit. Well, that's not an Isrit suit. That's a yellow-orange Siva suit. Martian.
Вон старший стоит, так ты к нему обращайся.
Oh, come on, just get up there. Ugh. Here I'm this many hours into my adventure. Within this same number of hours in Oblivion Lost 2010, I would be way farther along. In Oblivion Lost 2010, Ida had an AK-74 with a GP-25, an RPK-74, a Guardian of Freedom armor, and a partridge in a pear tree. Probably within, say, 2 hours or so. Well, give or take. On my Let's Play of Oblivion Lost 2010. I do remember I took my time in Corden. I spent, I think it was more than an hour in Corden. And by the time I left, I did everything there was to do that didn't involve getting myself irradiated. Everything I was capable of doing with the gear I had on hand. And by the time I left Corden, to go to garbage for the first time. I had a real AK-74, a Merc suit, a S.T.A.L.K.E.R TMP, galloping pig lumps, oink oink fleshy piggy, plural, oink oink fleshy piggies. Not going to, well, you're going to make me... Look how it's not damaging me. Well, this armor really is kind of good. Yeah, I'm going to cheaply save scum. Quick loading like a scum whore. Because I don't want to waste any 545. If I was playing the game normally, I'd have a sawed-off TOZ-34. I'd be using that as my... either as my primary weapon, in which case I really would be a hobo with a shotgun, or alternatively, I'd be using it as a backup weapon paired up with, probably an AK-74 of some kind. What's with this randomness? Why is that such a thing? Full-length TOZ-34, that's a good one. I could leave something here. Let's see if I can drag my only slightly overloaded self over to the trader at the flea market. I'm only 0.3 of a kilogram. .3 of a kilogram overloaded. This pisses me off so much. Is Anomaly harder than Misery? This absolutely miserable slog really does fit for the misery-like experience I'm trying to impose on myself. Well, that's probably the wrong way to phrase it, because I really just want that character class style, not the literal misery of Misery. He's wearing a firearm enthusiast's jacket. I can keep that with me. You have a Krink like mine, and you have an Elmer Fudd gun. Polyamide 6, I think, is what this brown polymer is. Brown or plum is just the natural color of that kind of polyamide polymer. In case you ever wondered why some AK-74 mags look like a plum color, plum or purplish or brownish, just their natural color. Should I sell my PDA to this guy or to Barkeep? Part of me kind of wishes I had bought this with the 1-Papa 2.9er tulip scope already attached. I will go ahead and buy that. Colonel Petrenko will give me more for this, I'm pretty sure. 553. Not too bad. 405 for just 16 rounds. Huge resale. Of course, it costs a way huge amount. So, that's really not that huge. Again, I'm pretty sure Colonel Petrenko will give me more. Oh, I might as well go ahead and get myself a real sidearm. Or I could hold out for something full auto that would be a lot more useful, but also most likely less durable. I shouldn't sacrifice the here and now for the sake of the future, nor should I sacrifice the future for the sake of the here and now. It's important to maintain balance in that regard. Oh, for that price I might as well get one of these and now actually have a functional sidearm. Other than my Glock, I mean. Alternatively, I could keep the Glock as my sidearm, my primary sidearm, and just get it fixed up. What condition is it in? 60%. Yeah. And I still have over 45,000.
Ну, привет.
I had at least one thing to do in Army warehouses. I'll take the better condition one. These things, I'll go ahead and take All these things. Now, let's see if any mission or storm occurs while I am trudging back. So, on to army warehouses. Gotta remember to remind myself to turn in all the missions here first before doing that. And while I'm over there, maybe I'll luck out and find an M203 because maybe Freedomers and Dutiers will get into a scuffle. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't have quick saved there. Well, actually no, that doesn't matter much because if an emission or storm started and I was right there, I could just go back to garbage, and hole up in that hut. I guess we could call that a hut. That's happened before. It doesn't, I don't think it screws you out of a certain amount of time, like it adds a time penalty if you travel between maps during an emission or storm. I don't think that's a thing that happens. Thankfully. Sad that my mind brain even ponders that that could be a possibility. Is that pessimism or cynicism? Did you know that in the original Greek context of the word, cynicism didn't have a negative connotation? In the original Greek sense, to be cynical meant to be critical of the status quo through the use of reason, to use critical thinking, instead of just taking things at face value or blindly accepting things as they are and pretending to be satisfied with it. I had a feeling I should have checked this earlier. Galil. Looks like AK-105. I should also remind myself to buy some Nemiroff vodka to take back to Yantar with me. Oh, you know what? I should have bought that from the flea market guy. I just keep forgetting to do that. Because he sells it cheaper than Barkeep. I think he does. I don't feel like checking and rechecking and checking and rechecking mundane things like that over and over and over again, just to make sure that I'm always getting the best possible deal. I have the memory of an elephant, and even I have trouble memorizing all of these details. I have a mind brain designed for comprehending detail. Yet this mod short-circuits even my obsessive, uber-nerdy mind brain. I now have enough stuff in there for there to be. Oh! A scroll bar. I might as well do something about that. Well, I'll leave these weapons in here. I'll take the monster parts. And I will just stash all of this stuff in here. I can sell one of these. I'll sell both of these. I've got more bolts than I need now. Good time to have a snack and a drink. Before too long, this will be like a storehouse. Filled with enough stuff that I could open my own restaurant, practically. Maybe even contend with barkeep. And then over there I'll have weapons in good condition stored in the blue footlocker. And I'll probably be spending more time around Rostock than in Yantar. And eventually I'll work my way up north. I'll start establishing base camps along the way, based around any place I can stash stuff. Blue or green footlockers typically. Well, that didn't last way too long. Now, I had missions to turn in. None of them were Colonel Petrenko, though. I might attempt this again if I get some more 027R pills. I could buy some, but I don't want to because I've sold so many of them. I should have just kept a handful.
Какие новости, сталкер?
I will buy a couple of bandages. Because 4 isn't enough.
Спокойно.
Not a bad price. Oh, it's so tempting, but no. Should I, I've asked myself this before, should I impose a limit on what kinds of hand grenades I can use? I will go ahead and sell this. in favor of a few extra rounds of 5.45. And if I were to impose a limit on what kind of hand grenades I can use, I would limit myself to either, specifically, the RGD-5 or thermite. Wait, why am I should have turned in these missions before shopping. Once again, I'm being overly cautious, overly conservative. In the economic sense. Fiscally conservative.
Да ты рассказывай, с чем пришел. Как оно? Чего расскажешь хорошего?
That ambient background music, that specific tune, that ominous tone. What was that? Reminds me of a tune from Borderlands 2. Still hasn't restocked on Nemiroff. That's the high quality stuff. I'll settle for the cheap stuff. For now, I could sell these to Freedom, but I'd get the same amount for them, I'm pretty sure. I'll go ahead and sell them now. I think I'm doing all right on food and beverages. For now, anyway. I don't feel like doing that. This I could do. Even though, yes, I know it means going back to Agroprom. I might not do it right now. I'm heading over to Army warehouses. Not doing any of those types of missions just yet. Or those.
Ну, привет.
Давай уже, подходи.
Did I bring any of those with me?
Ну, здорово.
Все течет, все поломалось, ничего не меняется.
Какие новости, сталкер?
I know I have several to spare. I'd rather keep those
Как жизнь?
for
Подходи,
myself.
сталкер. Для таких, как ты, у меня всегда есть кое-что интересное.
I might not structure every episode the same way. The previous two episodes represented like one whole day's worth of adventuring each. Yes, I knew I had one of those, at least one spare. One of those to spare. Because I still don't have a detector, so. And I need money right here, right now. Although, over 50,000. Am I really a hobo? I'm feeling less and less like a hobo. But I still don't have a grenade launcher. And which of you was that?
Ну, чем расскажешь?
Is that you? Yeah.
Подходи, сталкер. Для таких, как ты, у меня всегда есть кое-что интересное.
I could do a simple mutant elimination mission and possibly get paid twice. But I'd rather just go to army warehouses and get a real job done. Forgot to do the PDA thing with Barkeep. I could do that with Freedom. I don't think Duty has someone you can do. Oh. Yeah, I don't think Duty has someone who trades in PDAs. That's not bad. It costs... Oh. Didn't realize I had a mine to sell. I think I will go ahead and just pay to get this fixed. And I will buy some kind of gun character. That should do. Seriously? Well, I'm not bleeding. Also, I'm not going to... I know I've said this already regarding not structuring every episode the same way, where I hike it all the way back to Yantar before going to sleep at some time between 11 and 1 at night. And I'm not necessarily going to end the episode in the morning all the time. Drinking blackberry Dr. Pepper again. I reiterate that I wish it had more tartness. I really like San Pellegrino, the Italian sparkling juice beverage. It's so much better than ordinary American sodas because it has that tartness to it, probably because it's more juice than soda pop. That's one of those heavy things you can't stash. So I probably should have picked it up on my way out. But if I probably would have forgotten to do that if I had tried to do it that way. Part of me wants to go a-traipsing into the dreaded red forest, hit above my weight by maybe picking a fight with some monolith goons, and potentially come away with an M203. I really, really want one of those. Once I have one, I'll start buying 40 mils for it on a regular basis. And before too long, I will have had amassed a whole lot of them. Lots and lots of HEDPs. Or HE frags, whichever type they are. In gameplay terms, there probably wouldn't be too much of a difference between an HE frag and an HEDP. At least not in Stalker terms. They'd both be wrecking face just fine.
Что скажешь?
If I had that many of those, I'd probably keep them for myself. What was I going to sell to whom? I forgot to stash my NATO suppressor. That'll be for my LR-300. That mission to acquire that huge amount of exploration gear, artifact hunting gear for Skinflint, that's the sort of thing to do after you've been in the zone for a while and already have a surplus of stuff that you need / want. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do this. And this. Keeping that for myself, of course. And this time, I'll do that. Are you selling the Krink suppressor? You are. Should I go ahead and buy one of these? Nah. Is there anything I actually need? The better pistol actually costs less. It's better mostly because of its capacity. And it's also lighter. Higher capacity, and it's lighter, and it's a newer design. How about 545? $18.56. If I took the time to amass this early in the game, like just put it together piece by piece, this would pay well. The bear detector would be the hard one to get. I need to raise my rank first. I could go ahead and do this. I have something to take care of in Aggro Prom anyway. Cordon. Is it true that Skinflint's appearance was based on early 90s Max Popenker? Forgive me if I'm butchering that. He's done collabs with Ian McCollum.
Ну рассказывай, я весь внимание.
Pneumonia. Does that mean something to the effect of
Ты рассказать,
attention?
чего хочешь, что ли?
Still haven't found any basic tools. Oh. I will only do assassination missions against bandits and Monolith. Should I chance it? Just for the opportunity, the potential to score an M203. Because once I have an M203 and a good supply of 40 mils and a tourist backpack, then there will be limitless potential.
Что скажешь, брат? Здоров!
Because then I'll be able to hunt big game. That should do. I'm handicapped by the basic bitch backpack plus having to carry this. Can't offload it. Screw it. Not worth the effort. I'm not like What the Foxtrot sexy headphones. She'll go right over there to the Red Forest as a hobo with nothing but a Scorpion and a Makarov. And though she will have a hard time there, as one would expect, after enough effort, she comes right back from there with some prizes. Prizes, prizes, prizes! Some of you will get that reference. Invader Zim fans, I expect you to get that reference. By the way, if you like Invader Zim, but only recently got into it, and you're not yet familiar with Jonan Vasquez's earlier work, I highly recommend checking out the comic books that he's done. Including but not limited to Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. I hear pigs in the sky. Or at least that's what it sounds like. I'm just going to go back to Yantar. Oh. What do I hear over there? Now I have some 45s. Probably the work of duty. Not my fight. As an ecologist, I'm more into pragmatism rather than idealism. Could stash it there, but I want to stash it over here. See how long it takes me to drag my feet all the way over here. Ugh. Not going to bother with the armor. Should I get their armor and drag it over here? Sometimes that dragging the corpse thing works and sometimes it doesn't. I'll just stash the helmet. Where you load up a corpse with items and drag the corpse like a portable stash. I've noticed this was also true in Oblivion Lost 2010 and possibly also older versions of Oblivion Lost before that. At some point, you just can't drag corpses anymore, and I don't know why that is. Me and my obsession with grenade launchers. You know what I've noticed? Most zoners forego the use of grenade launchers. I'm not naming names because it wouldn't mean anything. The ones who don't use grenade launchers, they're the majority. What the Foxtrot sexy headphones, Blonde Fire. And that's not a criticism, it's just an observation. They sell every grenade launcher they find, they sell all the 40 mils they come across. Again, I'm name dropping, but that's the majority of zoners. Whereas Null Moxie and myself, we make use of grenade launchers. If you don't want to use 40 mils, maybe you can make use of planted explosives. But that makes you dependent on happenstance. I don't like to introduce extra elements of happenstance. I prefer consistency, reliability, and precision, indicative of a duty-like mindset, at least when it comes to this sort of thing. You totally can effectively use planted explosives against chimeras. Or you might observe a chimera leaping right over the explosive that you planted. There's definitely the potential for that happening. Or maybe you avoid mutants entirely, which is not the duty-like thing to do. All weapons and ammo over here in this blue footlocker. All of these things will go over here. Bandit patches, please. Yes. That's a decent amount right there. That would be a chimera or bloodsuckers. I think it's usually either of those, and I'd...
Да ты рассказывай, с чем пришел.
I'm not equipped to deal with either of those just yet. The amounts that you get for those types of missions, those armor upgrades and such, and weapon upgrades, it's not much. At least not on a hard survivalist.
Да ты рассказывай, с чем пришел.
Before too long here, I will be wanting to do Night Terror or other similar dangerous mutant elimination missions. I had a mine. Or did I sell that to... I sold that to Skinflint. That's a decent amount of... given the resale value of things for 27 rounds. Could go ahead and buy a pair of binoculars, but no, I don't think I will. Morphine. Ah, I did find one. And this time I'll keep it.
Спокойно. Чем могу помочь, сталкер?
As a recon scout, nighttime activities would be ideal,
Поговори с барменом.
but that's more for
Время дорого. Рассказывай.
an advanced stalker.
Я где лишний.
Unhealthy, won't eat it. And again, you would think that Freedom would be most interested in this, but I think you get the same amount no matter who you sell it to. So I'll just sell it to whoever's most convenient. And I have enough food and beverage. I don't need to. And he hasn't restocked on Nemiroff yet at all. So I should... Not going to pick up any more
Подходи,
missions.
сталкер. Для
It's
таких, как
tempting,
ты, у
but
меня всегда есть кое-что
I need to
интересное.
get on back to Yantar with this. I stashed my vodka back in that alcove. My home away from home. As a dutier, I think of this as my primary base camp. Not just Duty HQ, but this room specifically. I'll leave the rest of that stuff here. If I was more willing to go out and hit above my weight, like actively hunt monolith troopers wherever I might find them, I could have a grenade launcher by now. And I've really been wanting to do that. If I was playing the game normally, I'd want a GP25 to mount on an AK-74, just for economic practicality. But there isn't really too much of a cost difference between Eastern caseless muzzle-loading 40 mils and Western cartridge-type breech-loading 40 mils. Price differences like that matter less and less the more advanced you become as a zoner. The weight difference, actually. Well, yeah. Depends on if you try to make every fraction of a kilogram count. Then the weight difference does matter, in which case, favor the Western kind. They weigh 0.2 kilogram, whereas a VOG 25 weighs 0.26 kilogram. That makes more of a difference when you're carrying at least 10 of them. It really only makes a difference for the end game run if you like to use a grenade launcher during the end game run. I wouldn't even think of doing the end game run without a grenade launcher. I've done it 3 times so far. Twice with a GP25 and once with an M203. The once with the M203, that time it was mounted on an M16A4. Always the A4, never the A2. If I'm going to use an M16 in the zone, I'm only interested in the most modern iteration that's available in the zone. Well, I've used up this much, I might as well. Is that even worth it? Man, this Glock is flimsy. That departs from reality because Glocks are pretty well made. They have a good reputation in real life.
Ты пушку-то спрячь.
Not going to bother harvesting meat from the size sucker that's rightly his, even if he left it there. That moon looks kind of boring. Something that irritated me about the nighttime skybox in Oblivion Lost 2010 was how boring the moon looked. It looked kind of like that. Whereas in Oblivion Lost 2.2, that had a more dynamic nighttime skybox with a much cooler looking moon. Not an oversized Hollywood moon, but definitely a cooler looking and more detailed moon. Now I have enough vodka to trade with Spirit for some 545. What if I put my Geiger counter in my right hand and kept the flashlight in my left hand? Now I've got to remember there are two junctions here. One that goes to Garbage and one that goes to Yantar. Before too long, I won't have to do odd jobs, or what some call shit work. That's not my term, that's what it's called. I used to work in a mattress factory. In fact, I was working in a mattress factory at the time S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl came out. Had been working there for something like half a year. Started there in 2006. sawn-off shotgun. It says. That's the UK term. The US term is sawed-off shotgun. Is sawn-off grammatically correct? Sawed-off is grammatically correct. What's the point of there even being two different terms? Why not just make sawed-off the universal term, since it's grammatically correct anyway? Think of how it would be used in a sentence. The zoner had sawn the barrels off his TOZ 34 along with the stock to make it more compact, lighter weight, more convenient to carry. You could call it a snub nose. I have heard that term used almost jokingly to refer to short barrel shotguns. But why not? Snub nose, it's just a general term. It doesn't specifically have to refer to revolvers. Just anything with the barrel shorter than standard. The Isrit suit isn't very good. Roughly on par with the Sunrise suit. I think it might have a bit of an edge because I'm pretty sure it...
Чего тебе? Ну, я слушаю.
Fully upgraded, I think it has more attachment slots. 4 5.45 mags.
Так ведь и без толку все. Ну, стои. Ну, вроде как перекрываем. А сталкеров все равно полная зона. И откуда только такая куча идиотов берется?
And I still have one full bottle. And now I have, look, a fairly decent amount of ammo.
Не приставай с разговорами.
Если что, командиру, с ним беседуй.
Let's offload this semi-heavy
Приветствую на
thing.
нашей научной базе.
It's not the heaviest thing that you might end up lugging around. Capital G, you. I'm tempted to buy a Camelback. That's not much stamina recovery. And the reduction of electrical resistance doesn't really matter much. Because anything electrical will pretty much kill you instantly anyway, so I don't concern myself with that. Well, I'll decide that some other time. Right now, gonna hit the sack. Maybe I'll do that next episode / tomorrow. Tomorrow in the time of the zone. Is it midnight yet? Just about. My favorite breakfast. Will I have to drink twice? Yes. Time for the thing. I'm not going to do this every episode. I did this for the first episode, but not the second. Combine everything for the sake of organization. Stash my vodka, check my score. You can never have too much hops, number 9. Weight's looking fine. That'll do, flesh pig.
Да неохота мне болтать. Иди с командиром говори.
L85, but isn't an A1 or A2?
С чем пожаловали в мою скромную лабораторию?
If you have an L85 A2, you might as well ditch the L85 A1. I thought I did a little something for freedom. Maybe only certain missions, specific types of mission quest things, boost your goodwill. I haven't even met with the mercs yet. Dutchman sells the M203. I want to find one in the wild. (1D). This will be my fail-safe hard save for episode 4. Just as 1C is my fail-safe hard save for episode 3. And this naming scheme of nomenclature might not remain consistent. We'll just have to see. Till next time, catch you on the flip side.